and welcome to the Rob Call Bottom Up Show. It's available on Pacifica Radio Network and Progressive Radio Network and iTunes and Stitcher, YouTube channel, Bottom Up Show, and the complete archives are available at opednews.com/podcasts, where there are over 450 interviews. My guest for this show is Vincent James. He's founded two annual things. One is Teach Music Week, which is in March, and the other is Kids Music Day in October. And I, we were in a conversation, I kind of like the idea of somebody deciding to make a day something special. And it reminded me of how John Conyers, former head of the House Judiciary Committee, had started the Martin Luther King Day, and he fought really hard to make that a national holiday, and it took a lot of time and effort, but it finally happened, of course. So I wanted to talk to James about just his general passion for music, but also about what goes into creating a day or a week. So great to have you here, and tell us a little bit about why you're doing these things. What's your passion for music? Where's that come from? What's that about?
Well, thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me on. And, it's funny, I've been a musician, my whole life, writing music, playing music. And but always I kind of felt like there was something missing, that I was felt meant to do something a little different, kind of gets outside of myself. And I happened to be listening to a teleseminar several years ago. This is back before Zoom and all the video stuff. And it was about how everybody has a book inside them they need to write. And I honestly never thought I would write a book about anything because I don't consider myself an expert in anything. I mean, I'm a kind of okay songwriter, but those books don't really sell well unless you're a celebrity songwriter. But something drew me to that teleseminar training, and I'm listening to it. And while I'm on the call, I had, bolt of lightning idea came to me. What about a book of inspirational music stories submitted by other people from around the world, and then we could share those stories? And that's kind of where, I got all excited. I got chills. I ran upstairs to tell my wife. She got excited. And we've been going crazy ever since, about the last 6.5 years. So we started with the book series, basically 88 Ways Music Can Change Your Life. And as we were starting to bring stories in and from all over the world, I had this crazy idea, there should be a week where every musician should teach a free lesson to somebody new, just to kind of get them started. And the first year, I think it was 2015, all I did was I just put a couple of posts out to social media, hey, why don't everybody do this week? And, probably not much happened that week. I taught a free lesson, but and then the next year I thought, I started reaching out to a couple of media folks, and then a very wise media person across the bridge in New Jersey said, hey, do you have any people that we can talk to that are doing this? That would be really great. And then I kind of thought, oh, wow, gee, that's a really good idea. So I started then reaching out to music schools. And I think that second year in 2016, we had like 23 locations in 8 states. And so it began. And this year, next month, we're looking to have about 1,000 locations for Teach Music Week in all 50 states and another 14 countries participating. And it's just gets crazier every year.
That's fantastic. And it's really I call the show the Bottom Up Show, and really you're doing a very bottom up kind of thing. You're inspiring people all over the place to reach out and help people enter the path to music, really.
Yes. And it's definitely a bottom up, I call it like a grassroots approach. We're just starting, a couple of volunteers, and we literally, send in a year 20,000 emails to music schools, 2 rounds of emails, one round, for 2 rounds of emails to Teach Music Week, and 2 rounds of emails for Kids Music Day. These are individual emails that we send out to each of them, inviting them to participate, which is how we've been able to grow the participation. Because if you send out a bulk thing, obviously you run a fly of certain, internet rules. But even when you have people on a newsletter, you don't get as good a response as if you personalize it. So we've been muscling through the carpal tunnel, year after year, and we started to bring on additional volunteers to help with that. And really, it's just the grassroots, bottom up, growing it. And now we're starting to get some attention from other folks because we've been able to get it, so far on our own.
So your website is keepmusicalive.org. Do you
Yes.
list all the organizations that are participating in that Kids Music Day or Teach Music Week?
Yes. So like when you go to the website there's links for number one, to register your location if you'd like to participate, and also to find participating locations. And in the US and Canada, it's as simple as putting in your zip code or postal code to see who's, located around you that's participating. Internationally, beyond that, we haven't cracked the zip code, postal code thing yet. So there's a page for each of the countries that will list who's participating.
So how did you grow it from 20 to over 1,000?
Sheer will. Just relentless. I like this, Joanne and I, my wife, would like to talk about, we're just polite persistence. You keep asking. And what happens is some of them will do it and they'll have some success with it. They'll get excited. They'll keep doing it. And then they talk to other music schools and stores. And then we started also reaching out, after the first couple of years, we began reaching out to some of the larger chains like Music and Arts, Guitar Center, School of Rock, and also the music and movement programs that offer classes for the toddlers and the parents, and trying to encourage them to participate. And we've had some success already with many of them participating on one or more of the holidays, which obviously helps to grow the numbers because a couple of the chains have over 200 locations each.
Oh, wow. So have you gotten feedback that changed the way you did things as you reached out to people?
I think what we realized during the process was people that run these music schools and stores, they're incredibly busy. They're juggling so many things. They're dealing with parents, they're dealing with students, and they're dealing with staff. And then they have the overhead of their business. And then we're coming to them with, here's this extra thing, that we'd like you to do. It's not going to cost you anything, except for time, which obviously time is money. But, we're trying to inspire them and kind of get them to see kind of the light that this is a good thing for them, that if they can carve out a little bit of time and help to promote this on their own, it's going to be beneficial to their bottom line to help to build their business. And some of them go all out. I mean, they'll run radio ads, they'll do things on TV, and they'll really try to make it, a big thing. And as a result, they'll get a much larger response.
Now you're in the Philly area.
Yes.
Have you done anything special in the Philly area? Have you interacted like with the city or any local counties or anything like that?
We've only actually begun to, for the first 3-4 years, we were all everywhere, reaching everywhere, and almost completely ignoring. I mean, we were reaching out in Philadelphia and our local counties, but we weren't kind of taking advantage of the fact that we live here and actually trying to build stronger relationships. But about a year or so ago, we got involved with the Delaware County Arts Consortium here in our area. And that's kind of led us in the right direction to start making more connections and building relationships and helping us to do that. But it's sort of a thing we're just growing organically. And I think over the next year or two, we'll be starting to do exactly that. And, reaching out to some of the officials in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania and trying to see if they would be interested in helping to put together a proclamation that they could do for Teach Music Week and Kids Music Day and start that ball rolling. Because that's kind of the next official thing, is to try to, you start where you're at, to try to get local proclamations, and then you try to build it up, other states beyond that. But you have to start where you are.
Are you set up as a nonprofit?
Yes.
So
Yep. And that, I'm sorry. That was an interesting journey. We initially resisted, doing that only because, I'd heard horror stories of people trying to set up their 501c3 and how difficult it was, and, getting turned down and having to go through the process again. And finally, about in 2017, we realized, this is a mission-based thing that we're doing, a cause-based mission that we're on. And we really needed to make it a nonprofit. So the funny thing is, we went through, I think, an attorney, an accountant, and another attorney trying to get it done, and it just wasn't happening for whatever reason. It just, we weren't able to move the ball forward. So finally, I put it out to the universe, to some of our, nonprofit friends across the country, like, what did you all do? And one of them came back, well, there's this outfit in Florida that this is what they do. They help, organizations start their own 501c3. They know how to put the round peg in the round hole and the square peg in the square hole, and to fill out the application so that it will go through the first time. And, the cost was very reasonable, much less than it was going to cost us to do with the attorney or other outside force, or even to do it on my own. And it took less than a month from the time I signed it and submitted it before it came back from the federal government with the approval.
Wow, that must have made you happy. Have you been able to do any fundraising? Got any donations from like local foundations or anything like that?
Well, the interesting thing, so not from, well, yes, we did get a Philadelphia from the arts organization that gave us a grant to do instrument petting zoos. That's something that we do year round when we're not doing Teach Music Week in March and Kids Music Day in October. We do instrument petting zoos all through the year when we're not in pandemic mode, where we visit libraries, schools, festivals. We also do private events for like kids that are on the spectrum. We've done like Legoland in Plymouth Meeting Mall, and we did a marquee event for Kids Music Day one year at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. We bring a whole bunch of guitars, keyboards, ukuleles, dozens of different percussion instruments, and the kids get to come in and try them all. And we have volunteers as teaching artists that help to guide them and, get them try the guitar, put the pick in their hand and show them where their hands go and let them get to hear and feel what it sounds like. And let me tell you, those are actually the most fun things that we do. So to answer your earlier question, yes, we've gotten a grant, I think, from to do that a year ago. And we've gotten some national grants from like the Les Paul Foundation and also from Music Nomad and the One for Music program. Locally, like when you're going for fundraising for grants, if you're trying to get a grant from a local foundation, they're interested in what you're doing locally. The fact that we're doing Kids Music Day or Teach Music Week everywhere doesn't fall into their bucket. So really it's the instrument petting zoo programs and different, on the street programs that we can do where we're directly helping youth ourselves is where we'll be able to get local fundraising.
Okay, we need to take a brief break, and then when we come back, I want to find out more about what's in this for you. So we need to
Yes.
just pause for about 25 seconds, and then I'll do a show ID, and we'll come right back to it.
All right.
And we're back. It's the Rob Call Bottom Up Show. My guest for this show is Vincent James. He teaches music, but he's got a bigger vision. He has created a Teach Music Week that has gone nationwide and a Kids Music Day that has also gone nationwide. And I invited him on to talk about how he made that happen, because I mean, there are so many people who have visions of what they care about in their lives, and to come up with an idea of making a day that is special for that and recruiting people all over, it's a really cool concept. It's a bottom-up concept that turns a personal life passion into something that can touch tens of thousands or more people. So what do you get out of this?
Well, we get the satisfaction in knowing that we're helping a lot of people and building something that we hope is going to live longer than us. The idea is we want this to be something that 10, 20 years, 30 years from now, music educators all around the world will naturally use Teach Music Week in March and Kids Music Day in October to rally the media and their community to talk about the importance of music education, the educational value, the therapeutic value, and the social value for kids and for adults. So we've kind of given them two markers where, hey, these are two times where you can trumpet out to your communities and out to the media, and let's get talking about why this is so important. I mean, we're not trying to turn, everybody into a professional musician. What we're trying to do is help give kids the best chance of succeeding no matter what career path they choose later in life. So that's kind of like our why we're doing this, because we know the benefits.
Now
Right
it's
now,
coming
it's
up.
been a volunteer operation, but we eventually will have enough fundraising that we can have a small staff, small paid staff, and we'll be able to do this full time.
So this is coming up. Teach Music Week is coming up soon. When is it exactly?
It's the third week in March each year, so this year that's going to be March 15th to the 21st.
Okay. And have you recruited, I mean, thinking in a top-down way, have you looked at like famous musicians and asked them for help? Have you gotten any?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. So for Kids Music Day, a couple years ago, we got the idea, we should reach out to some celebrity artists and see if they would like to be what we would call Kids Music Day ambassadors. So we began doing that and reaching out to their managers, their agents, and their publicists. And we started to get, a little bit of response. And then one day we got a really amazing response back from Julie Andrews folks who said that, yes, Julie Andrews would love to be a Kids Music Day ambassador. Once that happened, the floodgates kind of opened, and many other people that were kind of hedging their bets came back and said, yes, absolutely, we like to sign on as well. So what they do is they lend us their name and their image that we can utilize to help promote the holiday. And then because of everything we've done to build it up to this point, we actually had a celebrity come to us last year and said, we would like for him to be actually a spokesperson. So in addition to lending their name and their image, they'd be willing to do interviews, which is something, as you know, the media, if there's a celebrity involved, and generally they'd like to speak to the celebrity. I mean, me and Joanne, my wife, we don't need to be on on the TV, but they want to talk to the celebrity. So Matthew Morrison, who was famous for being on Glee and also Broadway, several shows, came to us and said he'd like to be a spokesperson. So last year he was able to get Kids Music Day exposure on Entertainment Tonight, on People TV, and on Good Day New York, which was huge for us.
So when you started reaching out to celebrities, did you find any strategy that worked? I mean,
Absolutely. Polite persistence. Meaning, give you an example, we had reached out to Julie Andrews folks for at least 3 years, attempting to, I think, get her to see if she would submit a story or a quote for our book series. And we reached out to multiple people on her team, and we heard absolutely zero back for 3 years, silence. So many other people would give up, after many, many emails and never hearing anything back. But, we kept coming back to them, and we came back to them with the Kids Music Day idea. And Julie Andrews said yes. So the strategy we learned is to never give up, and polite persistence, and that silence never means no. If we
you
write.
threw in another piece. You just mentioned the book, that you were
Mhm.
not only contacting them for an ask for supporting your day or your week, but you're also
Mhm.
asking for them for some content for your book.
Yes.
And that could be a very powerful additional reason or excuse to contact people. So how did that fit in?
Well, that's kind of how it all started, because we started with the book series, 88 Ways Music Can Change Your Life. And how it started was, we knew we wanted to try to get potentially contributions to the book from celebrities. So, we researched managers, agents, publicists for different people, and we probably reached out to initially, 300, 400, maybe 500 celebrities. And in the end, for the first book, we had about a dozen that came back with yeses, that contributed either a quote or a story for the book. And, we learned just through that process that, number one, cast a wide net. And number two, if they don't write back and say, leave us alone, don't ever call us again, feel free to try again. And especially if you have a new idea, just like the media, if you have a new idea that you want to pitch, a new story segment, feel free to pitch it again. Because what you're trying to do over time with any of this, Rob, is to build a relationship with people. It's not a one and done. What you're trying to build a relationship, try to figure out what do they need, what do they want, how can we maybe help them. And sometimes, celebrities will actually contribute something because their people, their publicists, their management realize that it's also good for them. So when you can present the opportunity to them, some of them will respond because it helps both sides.
How about the other music venues like Spotify or Apple Music or The Voice or anything else? Have you attempted to reach out to them to try to get any kind of support?
So what we've been trying to do is, for the last few years, is trying to elicit corporate sponsorship for Kids Music Day and Teach Music Week, and also like media partners for Spotify, like Spotify and Apple Music. And we have yet to, we have a number of music partners, that we call, promotional partners, where they help us promote, the holidays. Entities like Casio, Con Selmer, Alfred Music, Kala Brand Music, and Remo Drums. So they've all been very supportive in helping that way. Uh, we also, but we haven't been able to crack the financial end of it. We're having corporations would donate money to help, but I feel like we're getting pretty close with that. And you mentioned Spotify. We did have some interest from Spotify Kids, which is a segment of the Spotify audience, part of their brand, and they're interested in possibly doing something with us for Kids Music Day this year.
And what else? What else have you done?
Slept, not a lot, but slept. uh, that's kind of the universe that we're in. We have the book series. We just published the second book, 88 More Ways Music Can Change Your Life. I have a bunch more celebrities that are part of that have contributed stories. People and quotes, ranging from Dan Aykroyd to Katy Perry to Britney Spears, and then a whole lot of, regular people like you and I that have contributed stuff. Stories that, would make you laugh. Some you'll have to grab for the tissue box, and some you just really won't believe. I can't believe that happened. So we're in the process of, rolling that book out, to the masses, while we're promoting, bringing up Teach Music Week coming up, and then later this year, Kids Music Day. And we're hoping at some point in the not too distant future, the pandemic starts to fade, we can start do our musical instrument petting zoos again.
So if you're fabulously successful in another 10 years, what will this look like?
No one's ever asked that question, Rob. I like that. What this would look like would be, well, we would have a small staff helping us do everything we're doing. There would be literally 5,000 locations participating every year, and we've been impacting 5,000 kids every year with our programs. I'm
How
sorry,
many,
50,000 kids worldwide with our programs.
how many music teaching facilities are there in the United States?
Just in the United States, I would have to venture, honestly, it's a guesstimate of maybe 2,000, 2,500.
So when you say 5,000, you would be talking about almost all of the ones in the United States and then around the world too, eh?
Yes. I mean, I may be underestimating. Maybe there's 10,000 worldwide, and we'll have half of them participating.
And what about music schools? What about music teachers at public schools or private schools or universities? Where does that fit in?
So it's very interesting that you mentioned that. So in the beginning, we kind of had this decision to make. All right, what focus are we going to go on? We have, the external world, the music schools, music stores, and then we have, as you mentioned, the private schools, the public schools. And we realized that we only had so much time that we were going to just focus, on the external, on the music schools and music stores. But what we started to slowly do is reach out to the organizations that are connected with the private and public school teachers. The National Association for Music Education, they have chapters in various states, and we're, having conversations with different chapters. And in some cases, they've been starting to let their members know, their teacher members know what we're doing. And we're asking them, to help us celebrate in different ways in their classrooms. And I think that's something that's going to continue to grow over time, especially when we have more volunteer help. We actually have a new board member that's helping us connect with college age NAFME members. They have a chapter at their college or university to support music education. And some of those folks are going to be helping us to, reach out into those communities as well.
So you've written two books, 88 Ways Music Can Change Your Life. What are some of the most profound stories that you can give as an example?
One of my favorite stories, Rob, came to us for the first book. I mean, there's so many, but this one, just I tear up, when I tell it often. And it came to us from a famous drummer named Simon Kirke, who was the drummer in Bad Company and the band Free. And Simon was teaching a clinic over in the UK at one point, and a drum clinic. He's up on stage and he's demonstrating, various drums and percussion instruments. And there's a fairly large auditorium with several hundred people, and the lights are out and the lights are on him, so he can't really see out into the audience. And as he's playing and demonstrating the different drums, he keeps hearing this clicking sound coming from somewhere in the audience. And he's actually somewhere around him. He's not really sure where it's coming from. But he's like, well, I don't know what that is. I'm just going to keep going. And he continues, he pulls out another drum. He starts to demonstrate it, and then again, the clicking sounds. And at some point during the demonstration, he starts to actually get a little annoyed. Like, who is making this infernal clicking sound when I'm up here, doing this demonstration for everyone? But, he's a professional. He just doesn't say a word. He just continues on. And then finally at the very end, the clicking continued all throughout. But at the very end, the house lights finally go up. And for the very first time, he can see all the way to the back of the auditorium. And in the far back, there's a row of wheelchairs with kids sitting, holding drumsticks in their hands, kids with muscular dystrophy. And they've been playing with him with those sticks the whole time, making the sounds.
That's beautiful. Gave me a chill.
When we got that story, Rob, Joanne and I knew we were on the right track.
What were you going to say? What did he do when he saw that?
So he jumped off the stage, he ran to the back and he kneeled down and he shook each one of their hands and said, thank you. Thank you so very much for playing with me today. I really appreciate it.
You never know when something that is pissing you off can turn out to be something beautiful.
Yes. Try as we might not to prejudge, what we observe in our environments, because you just really don't ever truly know what's going on.
All right. Well, we got to wrap. Any final words?
My only final words would be, I encourage everyone to start playing an instrument if you don't already. My one guitar student didn't start playing till he was 80 years young, so it's never too late.
Right. I love it. So my guest for this show has been Vincent James. He is the founder of Teach Music Week, Kids Music Day, and the co-author of the book, 88 Ways Music Can Change Your Life. And his website is keepmusicalive.org. Thanks so much for being on the show, Vincent.
Thank you, Rob. It was great chatting with you.